The gun was under my tray. Not pointed at me, not yet, but I'd felt its weight the second I lifted the silver platter. Too heavy on the left side, the balance all wrong. Someone had taped a pistol to the underside while I was in the kitchen. And the man sitting at table 7 was watching to see what I'd do about it. His name was Vincent Russo. Everyone in Chicago knew the name, even if they pretended not to. He owned half the South Side, the restaurants, the construction companies, the shipping docks. But more than that, he owned the kind of power that made people disappear when they asked too many questions. He was also staring at me with eyes that could have been carved from stone, waiting for me to panic, to scream, to drop the tray and run. I didn't do any of those things. I walked straight to his table, set down his espresso with a hand that didn't shake, and said, "Your coffee, sir. Is there anything else I can get for you?" The silence in that private dining room was so thick you could have cut it with a knife. His 4 bodyguards had gone completely still. The other family members at surrounding tables had stopped mid-conversation. Even the air seemed to be holding its breath. Vincent Russo leaned back in his chair, a slow smile spreading across his face that didn't reach his eyes. "You didn't check the tray," he said. His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of quiet that was more dangerous than yelling. "I checked it in the kitchen, sir, before I brought it out." I kept my face blank, professional, the way I'd been trained. "The espresso is fresh, single origin, the way you requested." "And you didn't notice anything unusual?" Should I have? That's when I saw it, a flicker of something in his expression. Surprise, maybe respect, definitely interest. He gestured to his head of security, a mountain of a man named Tony. "Check it." Tony moved fast for someone his size. He lifted the tray from the nearby service station where I'd set it, flipped it over. The gun clattered onto the marble floor with a sound like a death sentence. Everyone in the room tensed. Hands moved inside jackets, chairs scraped back. I didn't flinch. Vincent's eyes never left my face. "You knew." It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. "Yes, sir." "And you brought it to my table anyway." "You're the customer. You ordered coffee. I brought you coffee." I clasped my hands in front of me, the perfect picture of a calm, professional waitress. The gun wasn't my concern. The espresso was. For a long moment, nobody moved, nobody breathed. The kind of silence that happens right before violence erupts. Then Vincent Russo started laughing, not the polite chuckle of a businessman, but real laughter, the kind that shook his shoulders and made his eyes crinkle at the corners. "Everybody out," he said, waving his hand at the room. "Give us privacy." "Boss," Tony started. I said out. Vincent's voice hadn't changed volume, but something in it made grown men in expensive suits scramble for the door like their lives depended on it. Which, knowing Vincent Russo, they probably did. When the door clicked shut behind the last bodyguard, leaving just the 2 of us in that ornate dining room, Vincent gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." I sat, not because I was afraid, but because I was smart enough to know that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is refuse a man like Vincent Russo when he asks nicely. He studied me for a moment, his fingers steepled in front of his face. "What's your name?" "Grace Harper." "Grace Harper." He tested the name like he was tasting wine. "How long have you worked here, Grace?" 6 months? "And in those 6 months, has anyone ever put a gun under your serving tray?" "No, sir." "So this was a new experience?" "Yes, sir." "And yet you didn't panic, didn't scream, didn't run." He leaned forward. "Why not?" This was the moment I could either tell the truth or lie, and my choice would determine whether I walked out of this room alive. I met his eyes. Because panicking wouldn't have helped, and running would have gotten me killed. Smart girl. He picked up his espresso, took a sip. But that's not the whole answer, is it? Most people, when they find a gun under their tray, they don't calmly analyze the situation. They react. Emotion takes over. Fear. But not you. No, sir. So I'll ask again, and this time I want the real answer. His voice dropped, became something colder. Why didn't you panic, Grace? I'd spent 6 months building a life where nobody asked me questions like this. 6 months being invisible, forgettable, just another waitress in just another restaurant. And in one test, because that's what this was, a test, Vincent Russo had torn through all of it. I took a breath, made my choice. Because this isn't the first time someone's tested me with a gun, I said quietly, and the last time I panicked, people died. Before you listen any further, if you've ever had one moment change how people saw you, or how you saw yourself, this story is for you. This channel exists for people who survive the moment everyone else looks away. If you feel that already, subscribing means you don't have to listen alone. My name is Grace Harper, but that's not the name I was born with. 6 months ago, I was Grace Murphy, and I lived in a completely different world. A world where I wore FBI raid jackets and carried a badge and spent my days hunting the same kind of men who now employed me to bring them coffee. I was good at my job, maybe too good. I'd spent 4 years as an undercover agent specializing in organized crime. 4 years getting close to families, earning trust, collecting evidence. I had a gift for it, the ability to become whoever I needed to be, to make people believe I was one of them. Until the day that gift got 3 good men killed. The operation was supposed to be simple. We had a wire on a mid-level enforcer in the Castellano family, a guy named Marco, who I'd been dating for 6 months. He trusted me, loved me even, in his own broken way, and I was supposed to use that love to bring down his entire organization. The meet was supposed to go down at a warehouse in Brooklyn. Marco was going to introduce me to his boss, bring me deeper into the family. We had backup positioned around the perimeter. Snipers, tactical units, everything was in place. Except someone had tipped them off. I still remember the look on Marco's face when he realized. Not anger, not betrayal, just this deep, crushing sadness, like I'd confirmed something he'd always suspected but hoped wasn't true. "You're a cop," he said, not a question, a statement. I could have denied it, could have played dumb, bought time for backup to move in, but when I looked into his eyes, I couldn't find the words. That hesitation cost 3 agents their lives. The Castellanos had prepared for our raid. They'd positioned their own men, turned our ambush into a slaughter. By the time the shooting stopped, 3 of my colleagues were dead. Marco had vanished, and I was standing in the middle of a bloodbath, trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong. The Bureau cleared me officially, said I'd followed protocol, that there was no way I could have known about the leak. But clearing someone officially isn't the same as trusting them. And after that night, my handler started looking at me differently. My colleagues stopped inviting me to after-work drinks. The whispers started. Maybe she got too close. Maybe she warned him. Maybe she's the leak. I wasn't. God knows I wasn't. But the doubt was enough. When they offered me early retirement, for my own well-being, they said, I took it. I left New York, left Grace Murphy behind, became Grace Harper and moved to Chicago, looking for a fresh start. All I wanted was to disappear, to be nobody, to serve coffee and clear plates and never have to lie about who I was again. Then Vincent Russo walked into my restaurant and decided to test the new waitress with a gun under her tray, and disappearing stopped being an option. "Tell me about the people who died," Vincent said. We were still sitting across from each other in that empty dining room. His espresso had gone cold. I hadn't touched the water he'd ordered for me. "Why?" I asked. Because I want to know who I'm dealing with. You're not a normal waitress, Grace. We both know that. So tell me, who were you before you started bringing me coffee? I could have lied, could have made up a story, but something about the way he was looking at me said he already knew the answer. This wasn't a fishing expedition. This was a confirmation. Federal agent, I said. Undercover operations, organized crime. And now you're serving espresso to the exact type of people you used to hunt. He smiled, but there was no humor in it. Interesting career change. I retired. Agents like you don't retire. They burn out, or they get killed, or they get pushed out. Which was it? I got 3 good men killed because I hesitated at the wrong moment. The Bureau said it wasn't my fault, but they also made it very clear my career was over. So I left. And came here. And came here. Vincent leaned back, studying me. You know who I am? Everyone knows who you are, Mr. Russo. And yet you took a job at a restaurant I own? That seems like a poor choice for someone trying to disappear. I didn't know you owned it when I applied. By the time I figured it out, I needed the job too badly to walk away. You could have walked away today. The second you felt that gun under your tray, you could have dropped it and run. No one would have blamed you. Running would have confirmed I knew something was wrong, and people who know things they shouldn't tend to have short life expectancies in your world. I met his eyes. Staying calm was the safer bet. He laughed again, that same genuine laugh that seemed out of place coming from a man with his reputation. You're right. Smart and honest. I like that. I'm glad you're entertained, Mr. Russo. Can I go now? No. The humor vanished from his face. Because now we have a problem. You're a federal agent. Former agent. Working in my restaurant, which means either you're here by accident, which I don't believe, or you're here on purpose. And if you're here on purpose, that makes you a threat. My heart rate kicked up, but I kept my voice level. I'm not a threat. I'm just trying to survive. Prove it. How? He pulled a phone from his pocket, slid it across the table. Call your handler, right now. Let me listen. If you're really done with the Bureau, proving it should be easy. I stared at the phone. This was the test, the real one. The gun had been about my reaction under pressure, but this was about whether I was telling the truth about who I was now. I picked up the phone, dialed a number I still knew by heart. It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. Murphy, I thought you were done calling. Hi, Agent Chen, I said, watching Vincent's face. I'm calling because I have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where I need you to confirm for a third party that I'm no longer employed by the Bureau, that I have no official status, no ongoing operations, and no contact beyond this phone call. There was a long pause. Are you in danger? I'm in a conversation. Can you confirm what I just said? Another pause. Grace, who am I talking to? I looked at Vincent. He gestured for the phone. I handed it to him. Agent Chen, Vincent said pleasantly. My name is Vincent Russo. I'm sure you've heard of me. I couldn't hear Chen's response, but I saw Vincent's smile widen. No, I'm not threatening her. I'm simply verifying her employment status. She claimed she's no longer with the Bureau. Is that accurate? Vincent listened, his eyes never leaving my face. I see. And does she have any ongoing obligations to your organization? More listening. Thank you, Agent Chen. That's all I needed to know. He ended the call, slid the phone back to me. Your handler is concerned about you. Former handler, and that's not your business. He said you were one of the best agents he'd ever worked with. That losing you was the Bureau's mistake, not yours. Vincent's expression was unreadable. He also said if I hurt you, he'd make it his personal mission to bring me down, official capacity or not. Something warm flickered in my chest. Chen had been tough on me after the Brooklyn disaster, but hearing that he'd still defend me meant more than I wanted to admit. So, now you know, I said. I'm exactly who I said I was. Can I go? Not yet. Vincent stood, walked to the window overlooking the Chicago River. Because knowing you're not a current threat doesn't solve my problem. You're still a former federal agent with extensive knowledge of how we operate. You've been working in my restaurant for 6 months. Watching, learning. Even if you're not actively investigating, that's information I can't afford to have walking around uncontrolled. My throat went dry. What are you saying? He turned to face me. I'm saying you have 2 choices, Grace. You can leave Chicago tonight, disappear again, build a new life somewhere far away from me and mine. I'll even help. New identity, clean background, enough money to get started. Or you stay. You keep working here, but you work for me. Really work for me. Use those skills of yours, that training, to help me solve a problem I've been having. What kind of problem? The kind that involves someone inside my organization leaking information to my enemies. Someone I trusted. Someone who's getting my people killed. His voice hardened. I need someone who knows how to find a rat. Someone who understands investigations. Someone who has nothing to lose and every reason to prove they're not a threat. You want me to investigate your own people. I want you to find the leak before more bodies pile up. Do that and we're square. You can keep your job, keep your new life. I'll even protect you if your past ever catches up. And if I say no? Then you leave tonight, because I can't have a former federal agent in my orbit unless I know exactly where she stands. I should have taken the out, should have accepted his offer to disappear, started over somewhere else. But I'd spent 6 months running and I was tired. Tired of being afraid, tired of looking over my shoulder, tired of serving coffee when I used to hunt monsters. I'll do it, I said, but I have conditions. Vincent's eyebrows rose. You're negotiating? You want me to find your leak. That means doing this right, my way. Which means I need access, authority, and your word that you won't interfere with my investigation. Done. What else? When I find who's betraying you, you don't kill them until I know why. Information first, revenge second. He considered this. Agreed. But if the leak has gotten my people killed, they die. That's not negotiable. Fair enough? I stood up. One more thing. This stays between us. Nobody else knows who I used to be. Not your men, not your family. Nobody. Because the second word gets out that you have a former Fed working for you, I'm dead and your leak disappears. Smart? Vincent extended his hand. We have a deal, Grace Harper. I shook his hand, sealing a bargain that would either save my life or end it. If you're still here, it's because this story stopped being entertainment. It became personal. Most people leave before the truth gets uncomfortable. Staying says something about you. Subscribing is how you stay connected to stories that don't flinch from real consequences. Vincent set me up with an office in the back of the restaurant. Small, windowless, but private. He gave me access to financial records, personnel files, shipping manifests, everything I'd need to build a picture of his operation. Start with the hits, he said, dropping a folder on my desk my first night. 3 shipments intercepted in the last 2 months, 2 safe houses raided. One of my warehouses burned down the day before a major delivery. Someone's feeding information to the Colombo family, and they're using it to cut into my territory. I opened the folder, photos of crime scenes, police reports that had clearly been obtained through unofficial channels, casualty lists. 5 men dead across the 3 incidents. Who knew about these operations in advance? I asked. That's what you're going to find out? Vincent leaned against the doorframe. But it's someone close, someone in the inner circle. That's the only way they'd have this kind of detailed information. How many people are in the inner circle? 12, including me. So, 11 suspects. Unless I'm investigating myself, he smiled, but his eyes were cold. I want a name, Grace. I don't care how you get it. I spent the first week doing what I did best, watching, learning patterns, building profiles. Vincent's organization ran like a legitimate business because on paper, that's what most of it was. Restaurants, construction, import, export. But underneath the paperwork, money flowed in ways that had nothing to do with pasta and concrete. The 12 members of the inner circle each controlled a different aspect of the operation. Tony, the head of security I'd met that first day, oversaw physical protection and enforcement. A man named Frank handled the books. Another named Rico managed the import business. And so on. I interviewed them all, using my waitress position as cover. Casual conversations while bringing coffee, questions disguised as small talk, the same techniques I'd used as an undercover agent, except this time, I wasn't pretending to be one of them. I was pretending to be nobody at all. Most of them ignored me. A few were mildly condescending, the way powerful men often are with service workers. But one stood out. Sal Martinelli, Vincent's cousin, second in command, the man who'd been with Vincent since the beginning. He was too friendly, too interested in my background, too curious about what Vincent and I had discussed in that private dining room. "Boss seems to like you," he said one afternoon, cornering me near the kitchen. "That's unusual. Vincent doesn't usually pay attention to the help." "I make good coffee," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Is that all you make?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you make Vincent very interested. And when Vincent gets interested in someone out of nowhere, it makes me wonder what they're really doing here." "Just serving coffee, Mr. Martinelli. Same as always." "Right." He stepped closer, invading my personal space. "Just remember, sweetheart, I've known Vincent my whole life. I was there when he built all this. So if you're playing some kind of game..." "Sal," Vincent's voice cut through the tension like a knife. He stood in the doorway, his expression pleasant, but his eyes hard. "Leave her alone. She's under my protection." Sal's jaw tightened, but he stepped back. "Of course, boss. Just being friendly." "Be friendly somewhere else." After Sal left, Vincent looked at me. "You okay?" "Fine, but I think you should know your cousin is very interested in what I'm doing here." "Sal's always been protective. It's nothing." "Maybe. Or maybe he's nervous because he has something to hide." Vincent's expression darkened. "Sal's family. He's been loyal for 20 years. Loyalty isn't the same as honesty, and sometimes the people closest to us are the ones best positioned to betray us." "You have proof?" "Not yet, but I'm working on it." Over the next 2 weeks, I built my case. Sal had access to everything: shipping schedules, safe house locations, delivery times. He was Vincent's second in command, which meant he knew every operational detail. And when I cross-referenced the timing of the leaks with Sal's movements, a pattern emerged. Every leak coincided with a period when Sal had been in contact with Michael Colombo, the head of the rival family. Phone records showed calls between them. Security footage showed meetings at a coffee shop downtown. Financial records showed deposits into one of Sal's accounts that couldn't be explained by legitimate income. But proof wasn't the same as motive, and without understanding why Sal had betrayed his cousin, I couldn't predict what he'd do when confronted. I needed to talk to him directly, get him to admit it, the same way I used to get confessions when I was an agent, the same way that had gotten 3 men killed in Brooklyn. I set up the meeting carefully, asked Sal to help me with inventory in the wine cellar after hours. Private, quiet, the kind of setting where people felt comfortable talking. He showed up right on time, which told me he wasn't suspicious, yet. Thanks for helping, I said, clipboard in hand. Vincent wants a full count before the weekend. No problem. Sal followed me down into the cellar. Though I gotta say, this seems like grunt work for a waitress. Vincent's got guys who usually handle this. He asked me specifically, said he trusted me to get it right. Right. Sal's voice hardened slightly. Vincent trusts you a lot these days. It's interesting. Is it? Yeah, because 6 months ago, you were nobody, just another face serving coffee. And now you're in his office, handling his private business. That's quite a promotion. I turned to face him. Does that bother you? It bothers me that I don't know who you really are. It bothers me that Vincent's keeping secrets from family. And it bothers me that you showed up right around the time our problems started. What problems? Don't play dumb. Sal moved closer. The leaks, the raids, the shipments going missing. All of it started around the time you got here? That's quite an accusation. Is it, or is it just pattern recognition? He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. It was me from my bureau days. Official ID photo. Grace Murphy, FBI, undercover specialist, retired 6 months ago after our operation went bad. Same time you showed up here. My blood went cold. Where did you get that? I did my homework because unlike Vincent, I don't trust people just because they make good coffee. He pocketed the phone. So here's what I think. I think you're still working for them. I think this whole waitress thing is cover. And I think you're the leak. The accusation was so absurd, it almost made me laugh. Almost. If I was still FBI, I'd have had Vincent arrested by now. I've seen enough in 6 months to build a dozen cases. Unless you're building something bigger, playing a longer game. Sal's hand moved to his waistband, where I knew he kept his gun. Or maybe you're working for the Colombos. Former Fed gone dirty. It's not unheard of. I'm not working for anyone except Vincent. He knows who I am. He's the one who asked me to investigate the leaks. Bullshit. Ask him yourself. Can't. Because if you're lying, if you are the leak, the second I tell Vincent you're FBI, you'll disappear. And if you're telling the truth, and Vincent did know, then he kept it from me, from family, which means he doesn't trust me anymore. Sal pulled his gun, not pointing it at me, just holding it. Either way, I can't let you walk out of here. This was it, the moment where everything could go wrong, where my hesitation could get someone killed. Except this time, I didn't hesitate. Put the gun away, Sal. Or what? Or I tell Vincent about the deposits, the phone calls to Michael Colombo, the meetings at the coffee shop on 5th Street, the fact that you're the leak and you've been using me as a scapegoat to cover your tracks. He went very still. You're bluffing. The account number is 847-3392-5519. Bank of Chicago, 3 deposits in the last 2 months totaling $45,000. All from shell corporations tied to the Colombo family. I took a step toward him. You betrayed Vincent, your cousin, your family, and now you're trying to kill the person who figured it out? You don't understand. Then make me understand. Tell me why. Give me something I can bring to Vincent that isn't just, he's a traitor, kill him. Because right now, that's all I've got. Sal's hand shook. The gun wavered. For a moment, I thought he might shoot me anyway. Then he lowered it. They have my daughter, he whispered. The Colombos. They took Maria 3 months ago, said if I didn't cooperate, they'd kill her. I didn't have a choice. And just like that, everything shifted. We sat in that wine cellar for an hour while Sal told me everything. His daughter Maria was 22, art student, no connection to the family business. The Colombos had grabbed her after class one day, held her somewhere Sal couldn't find. They called him with demands, information in exchange for her safety. Shipping schedules first, then safe house locations, then more. Every time I gave them something, they'd send me a photo of Maria, proof she was still alive. But they never told me where she was, never let me talk to her. Sal's voice broke. I tried to find her, hired private investigators, searched everywhere. But the Colombos are good at hiding people. Why didn't you tell Vincent? Because Vincent would have gone to war, full-scale war with the Colombos, and Maria would have been the first casualty. They made that very clear. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. What would you have done, your family or your cousin's empire? I thought about Brooklyn, about the choice between duty and love, and how that choice had destroyed everything. I would have done exactly what you did, I said quietly. So, what happens now? You tell Vincent and he kills me? No, now we get your daughter back. Sal stared at me. Why would you help me? I just tried to kill you. Because you didn't actually pull the trigger, and because I've made the wrong choice before and I know what it costs. I stood up. But we have to tell Vincent all of it and trust him to do the right thing. He'll never forgive me. Maybe not, but he'll help you save Maria. Family is family, even when they betray you. We found Vincent in his office, reviewing security footage. When he saw us walk in together, his expression went carefully neutral. Grace, Sal, this is unexpected. We need to talk, I said, all of us, and you need to hear the whole story before you make any decisions. I told him everything, the investigation, the evidence, Sal's daughter. Vincent listened without interrupting, his face getting harder with each detail. When I finished, he looked at Sal. Is this true? Every word. Sal's voice was steady now, resigned. I betrayed you. I got our people killed. And I understand if you can't forgive that. But before you do what you're going to do, please, help me get Maria back. She's innocent in all this. Vincent was quiet for a long time. Then he picked up his phone. Tony, get everyone to the warehouse. Full team. And bring everything we have on Colombo safe houses. He hung up, looked at Sal. We're getting your daughter back. Then we're going to have a conversation about loyalty and family and whether you still have a place in mine. Boss? Save it. Grace, you're coming with us. I want someone there who knows how to handle a hostage situation without getting everyone killed. Vincent, I'm not an agent anymore. No, but you were. And right now, that's exactly what I need. The Colombos were keeping Maria in an apartment in Pilsen. We confirmed the location through a combination of surveillance, informants, and the kind of pressure only Vincent Russo could apply. We go in quiet, Vincent said, reviewing the building layout. No shooting unless absolutely necessary. We get the girl, we get out. Then we handle the Colombos on our terms. Tony and his men would secure the perimeter. Vincent would lead the entry team, and I would talk to Maria, use my training to keep her calm once we found her. You sure about this? Vincent asked me before we moved in. You don't owe us anything. You could walk away right now. I could, but I won't. Why not? Because I spent 6 months trying to be nobody, trying to forget what it felt like to do work that mattered. And maybe this is wrong. Maybe I'm crossing a line I can't uncross, but saving that girl, that matters. Vincent studied my face. You know what you're becoming, helping us like this? Yeah, I know. And you're okay with it? I stopped being a hero a long time ago, Vincent. Now I'm just trying to be useful. We hit the apartment at 2 a.m. Tony's team disabled the exterior guards while Vincent, 3 of his men, and I entered through the fire escape. The apartment was small, poorly guarded. The Colombos had gotten sloppy, confident that Sal would never risk telling Vincent the truth. Maria was in a back bedroom, handcuffed to a radiator, 22 years old, terrified but unharmed. When she saw us, she started crying. It's okay. I said, kneeling beside her while Vincent's men secured the apartment. Your father sent us. You're safe now. My dad, he knows? He knows, and he's been trying to find you for 3 months? Tony brought bolt cutters, freed her from the handcuffs. We wrapped her in a blanket and got her out of there before the Colombos even knew we'd been there. Sal was waiting at the warehouse when we arrived. The moment he saw Maria, he broke down completely. They held each other, both crying, while the rest of us gave them space. Vincent pulled me aside. You were right about family, about doing the right thing. What happens now? Now I have a conversation with Michael Colombo about taking things that don't belong to him. But that's my business, not yours. What about Sal? Sal made his choice. He chose his daughter over me. I can't say I wouldn't have done the same. Vincent's expression was hard to read. But he still betrayed the family. That has consequences. Don't kill him. I'm not going to kill him, but he can't stay in the organization. He can't be trusted with operational information anymore, so he's out. He keeps his businesses, his money, his life, but he's not family anymore, not in the way that matters. It was harsh, but fair. More than fair, considering how Vincent could have handled it. And me? I asked. You kept your end of the bargain, found the leak, helped save Maria. You're free to go if you want. And if I want to stay? Vincent smiled. Then you keep making coffee. Keep being the quiet waitress who nobody pays attention to. And when I have problems that need someone with your particular skills, we have another conversation. No official employment, no commitment. Just an understanding between two people who've learned the hard way that loyalty is complicated and trust is earned, not given. I could live with that. Life went back to normal. Or as normal as it could be when you were a former FBI agent serving coffee to the Chicago mob. Vincent came in twice a week, always ordered the same espresso, always left a generous tip. We'd talk sometimes, casual conversations about nothing important, but beneath the small talk, there was an understanding. I'd crossed a line the night we rescued Maria, helped a criminal organization, participated in activities that would have gotten me arrested if my former colleagues knew. I wasn't a hero anymore. Wasn't sure I ever had been. But I'd helped save someone's daughter. And in a strange way, I'd found purpose again. Sal and Maria left Chicago. Vincent helped them relocate, set them up with new identities. The last I heard, they were somewhere in Arizona, running a small restaurant, trying to build a normal life. The Colombos learned what happened when you took family from Vincent Russo. I didn't ask for details, didn't want to know. One Tuesday evening, about 3 months after the rescue, a man walked into the restaurant. Mid-40s, good suit, federal agent written all over him. Agent Chen. My heart stopped. He shouldn't be here. Couldn't be here. He sat at a table in my section, ordered coffee. When I brought it to him, he smiled. Hello, Grace. Agent Chen, this is unexpected. I was in Chicago. Thought I'd stop by, see how you were doing. I'm fine, living quietly, no problems. That's good. He added sugar to his coffee, stirred it slowly. Because we've been hearing interesting things about a leak in the Russo organization, about a rescue operation, about someone who sounds an awful lot like you being involved. My blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Grace, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I don't care what you've been doing. I don't care who you've been helping, but I do care about you. And the path you're on, it doesn't end well. I'm just serving coffee, Chen. Sure you are. He stood up, left money on the table. But if you ever need a way out, call me. Because the thing about Vincent Russo, he's charming, honorable, even by his own code. But he's still a criminal. And eventually that world will destroy you, one way or another. He left before I could respond. I thought about his warning for days, thought about the line I'd crossed, and whether I could ever cross back. Vincent found me on the roof of the restaurant one night, staring out at the city. "Chen came to see you?" he said. It wasn't a question. "He did. Warn me about working with you?" "Smart man, you should listen to him." "Are you trying to get rid of me?" "I'm trying to give you a choice. Keep serving coffee, living this quiet life, or admit what you're becoming and stop pretending you're just a waitress." What am I becoming? Someone useful, someone who understands that the world isn't divided into heroes and villains, just people making impossible choices and living with the consequences. I looked out at Chicago, all those lights representing lives I'd never understand, problems I'd never solve. I wasn't a hero, wasn't a villain, just someone trying to do the right thing in a world that didn't make it easy. "I'll stay," I said. "For now." Vincent nodded. "That's all any of us can do. Stay for now, make it count, and hope the consequences don't kill us." He left me there on that roof, and I thought about guns under serving trays and tests I'd passed without knowing I was being tested, and the strange peace that came from finally accepting who I'd become. The Mafia boss had tested the waitress on purpose, and my calm reaction hadn't just shocked everyone, it had changed everything. But that was okay, because for the first time in 6 months, I wasn't running anymore. I was staying, and making it count. If this story stayed with you, if it made the night feel quieter or heavier, don't disappear quietly. Subscribing helps these stories reach others who are still standing where she once was. Thank you for staying until the end.